Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. Today is Season 3, Episode 17, and our guest is Jason or Levine. Jason is an English language specialist for young learners and adults. He runs workshops for teachers and shows for students worldwide, best known as Fluency MC. Jason has clocked up millions of views worldwide for his YouTube videos that help learners tackle the often tedious parts of learning the language through rap. I had a great chat with Jason and I really hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey everyone, buckle up for a new episode of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast, the one and only podcast made to help you launch your business or take your existing business to a level of success you could never have imagined. Whether you're a school owner, freelancer, publisher, or other entrepreneur, you're sure to pick up lots of actionable advice when you listen to the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. Remember to visit eflmagazine.com for great articles and features. Without further ado, here's your host, the founder of EFL Magazine, Philip Pound.
So you have a thriving ELT business and are looking to understand how to scale. Maybe you're just starting out on your entrepreneurial journey and you need to get absolute clarity in what you do and how it helps others so that you can live the life you want. Regardless of where you are on your entrepreneurial journey, you will need support, accountability, and encouragement along the way. So imagine if you could join a mastermind that would give you such support, encouragement, focus, and business knowledge from experts on branding, mindset, and marketing, and so much more. And all for less than $50 per month. Why not book a call with me today so you can start taking actions on your goals? So go to the show notes and sign up now. So welcome back, everybody. And I'm super pumped, as they say in the States, to introduce you to Fluency MC. I've watched it already. Jason,
start that over.
Yeah. Give me your full moniker.
So yeah. Jason R. Levine, also known as Fluency MC. I'm a teacher trainer, knowledge entertainer. There you go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so you did a good job for me. So you're in Paris today, is that right, Jason?
Yes, yeah. I've lived in Paris, France now for about 8 years.
Okay.
Almost 9 years. Yeah.
That's right. And just before we came on air, or did the record, or started the recording, we talked about the last time we spoke. I think it was just before, I started EFL Magazine, and it's probably you had just moved to Paris. I think you were on a balcony and you had the French doors behind and the curtain. Yeah.
You remember? Yeah, that was around that time. Absolutely. Yes, I'm originally from the States. By the way, I'm pumped as well to be here. It's the first time we've talked this way, and it's been a while. Of course, I follow what you do in social media and have a lot of respect for the stuff you get out there as EFL Magazine. So it's great to be talking with you.
Thanks, Jason. And we won't make this a mutual appreciation society, but I've always, admired you as a person. You've been always so helpful. When I came on board, you introduced me to so many people and, you offered to introduce, and so helpful and gracious along the way. And, I've witnessed some of your is that the right word? But I've observed some of your teaching and, your level of knowledge and display and entertainment and enthusiasm. I mean, they're unmatched. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. Well, since we talked about my moving from the States to France, I did that in, I guess it was 2013 with my family, mainly because the work I was doing on YouTube, putting out videos to help students practice English outside of class with songs. So I make rap songs, hip hop music to help students practice English. And thanks to YouTube, people in other countries, teachers, primarily students would contact me and tell me they liked the videos. But then teachers started to contact me and brought me to Facebook, which I didn't know about, into a group to talk about teaching methods and things. So that just blew my mind. It's like, wow, there's the way now that because I'd been a teacher trainer at that point for almost 10 years. And here I am now in a group on Facebook talking to teachers and sharing information. So that was my first introduction to like social learning and training. And they said, hey, I didn't mention this was a group of Moroccan teachers. They said, hey, we'd really like to bring you to Morocco to do some teacher training. So that's how I first, left the States to go abroad. And then thanks to more people sharing the videos and social media, I got invitations to go to other countries. So it started in North Africa, was Morocco, then Tunisia, and then Spain, Italy, France. My wife is originally from Paris. So we realized it would probably make more sense if I'm working over there, that we move over there. Also, our kids are bilingual. So to offer them the opportunity to live in France, to get more French language and culture. So that's why we moved. And since then, really, my main work is going to schools to train teachers and to do shows for kids. More shows for kids these days than teacher training. I enjoy both. And because of COVID, things slowed down quite a bit, as you could imagine. They're picking up now. I don't travel as much to other countries these days. I was doing that before COVID. We'll see if that happens again, but I'm very happy to be busy with schools in France. It's nice to get up, take the train somewhere in this great country and come back for dinner. So that's the main thing I do. But there are other things also that I do for work in English language teaching.
That's right. And it kind of brings me back to the last time we talked on Skype all those years ago. And when I was just starting the magazine, you asked me, what kind of groups are you using? Are you using Facebook? And I said, no, I'm using LinkedIn. And you said, oh, you got to use Facebook. And then, you told me about, as Americans would say, innovative level or teachers of English. I'd say innovative teachers of English. When did you start the group?
I didn't start that group, actually. That's Shoki Mikado who started that. I met Shoki very early on, my first trip to Tunisia, and we got very close as friends and collaborators. So he had this group. I had a few other groups at the time, and he had this group, and it was just growing so much. So Shoki said, hey, do you want to be an admin of this group? And as it grew, I kind of stopped the work I was doing in the other groups because it was just this big thing that it was becoming. And So by the way, I love innovative. I wish I pronounced it with that word stress. I prefer it.
Well, there you go. But either is okay.
It's interesting because these days I would tell people, you're going to have probably more luck on LinkedIn than on Facebook because just the algorithms have made it just almost impossible to have the kind of dialogue and exchange that used to go on in those groups. So I still love innovative teachers of English, but I'll put a message out there and 9 people will see it. The group has 345,000 members. And then I'll get an email from Mark Zuckerberg asking if I want to, promote my posts and do advertising. So they basically shut me down most of the time.
Yeah, shut everybody down. Organic reach is almost gone now, isn't it? That's right. I think the stats are there for everybody to see. The studies have been done, and it's almost at zero or approaching it soon. Anyways,
yeah.
I mean, if you can get 9 people or 345, I mean, yeah. But the golden days at the beginning of Facebook, you could just put a post and everybody amazing. That followed you could see it.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking about the business side of ELT and being an independent, a freelance person in this industry, given the fact that things have changed. I don't know if you want to get into it right now, but one thing that, really I'm focused on at the moment is, okay, we benefited from this golden age. We have to kind of thank, YouTube, Facebook, and everyone else for getting us together, these connections. But, now we've got these connections. It's time to go elsewhere because there's no way it's going to work unless we're really savvy about advertising and that sort of thing on somebody else's platform. We need to be somewhere on our own. So I'm working very closely with someone I actually met 11 years ago. His name is Fedor Sokolov, and he and I and Troy Malone, who is a big Silicon Valley dude who actually made tons of money with Evernote and then started some other companies. But he and Fyodor founded a company called Relevant, and we just helped. I helped them, or I'm helping them develop an app. So we have an app, and now that I'm on an app with teachers and learners, it's just like, it's amazing. It's social learning. It's the same things that's going on Facebook, but it's our space, right? So you tag someone, you put something there, and everybody sees it. It's like this. We actually have a home somewhere off of the big corporate social grid, and that's just so exciting. And I think that's the future.
Oh, okay. So your own private fiefdom, and so you don't have to rely on that. And can you just give me a quick plug for the
It's called Relevant. You won't be surprised to know that there are a lot of things called Relevant in the App Store and Google Play. So you want to look for Relevant Skills. That's the app. But basically, we're doing online courses there. We call them climbs, not courses, because unlike a course, it's easier, simpler, shorter, more fun, more effective. It's basically you're on a tribe with other students, other English learners, and you have like a 2-week or a 3-week experience together learning English and other skills, like future skills through English, preparing for job interviews, get your resume together, to start a company. So there are different things like this. And I wrote an audiobook, and we're doing a climb with the audiobook that I wrote. But anyway, before getting into specifics, the most important thing I just want to share with people who are listening is that, explore the idea. It's not the easiest thing in the world to get an app that does well, but when you consider how difficult it is to really get people together now on a place like Facebook, I think it's well worth considering this option.
So when you mentioned Go Elsewhere, I thought you were going to talk about Trump's Truth Social site. Maybe that's the place to go, is it, if you want to start?
Really, don't get me started on that.
Okay, we're not. No, I promised I wouldn't go into American politics. So we
can if you really want to. But
no, thank you.
I'm making this. It's not a really a fair comparison, like an app or social media. It's also an app versus a website. I mean, I've been trying in vain for many years, and I know there are people who succeed at it. So it's not as if you can't. But someone like me, for different reasons, the online course through a website, it's very bulky. It's very difficult. I'm much more of a, Facebook social learning kind of person. It needs to be, to me, quick and mobile. And so that's the great thing about an app, is that you have all the great, interaction that we used to get in Facebook groups, but doing online courses and making money through selling courses, but without the heft and the of a website. And the difficulty in communicating with people, I think, when things are website based.
So let me rewind a little bit. So you mentioned something about stuff that you did that didn't work, some failures. So can you talk to me in the audience about like what didn't go right and why it didn't go right and what you learned?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll say is that, I'm someone who really likes in-person teaching, training. I mean, to the point where I like being on stage and doing shows with 300 kids. It's not that I don't enjoy things like that online. I've had some great online experiences, but to be successful as a teacher and a trainer in the physical world and online, I think is very unusual. So like when I look around at people who've really succeeded in the online space, they're dedicating all or almost all of their time to that. And that's the big lesson I learned. It took me a while to figure that out. It's like, so I'm over here really pushing my work in schools, and then I'm trying to do the online thing. And I realized, wait a second, there's no way I'm going to be able to do both. I'm not, that special of a person who can do both. The other thing is I'm really not interested enough to put in the time, interested enough in marketing. I love promoting things that I believe in. So I really misunderstood, the connection between, promoting and marketing, kind of misunderstanding it as the same thing. You're like, okay, well, if I have these followers and I've got all this action in schools and teachers who know me, then, I'll just be able to do digital marketing for my courses. And, really doesn't work like that. And then when I realized that I didn't have the passion or the dedication to do the marketing side, I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll work with somebody else who does that part of it. And there were failures there also, either working with the wrong people, there wasn't synergy, or just, it's what people will tell you is you're the best person to get your message out, to do the marketing yourself. That's all the idea of being a teacherpreneur. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a teacherpreneur. I just want to create and teach and train. I don't want to do the business side. And, I often think about, because I was in bands a lot. I'm a drummer and DJ and just doing a lot of stuff, shows. It's like telling the rock band they have to do the lights, they have to sell the tickets, they have to, it works like that at the beginning, right? If you're like just getting started, I feel like as an artist. But the whole point, I feel, is for people who are, who create content and are getting a lot of good response. Those people shouldn't have to do the business side of things as much. So that's where I am now, finally figuring that part out, finally figuring out who are the people that I can work with that can take care of those other things, so that I can do what I do best, which is more of the teaching and the materials writing, the songs, the videos.
Okay, so you mentioned something very interesting there, which was promotion and marketing. So I think I read in a book somewhere they give the example of a circus. So the guy is in the tent, roll up, but you have to put the posters around the town, and maybe put the elephant walk through the main street, and hand out the balloons and the sweets, and the acrobats do all this.
That's right.
So that's all part of the process. So the marketing is all this other stuff, isn't it? And the promotion.
It is, and it's also digital marketing. It's a different universe, and I have so much respect for the English language teachers I see who really work hard to figure it out and do it. And the ones, no surprise, the ones who are most successful are actually passionate about that. They get into it. It's not just like this chore that, something they have to do in order to get their content out to teach. They are, either as passionate about the marketing as the teaching, or in some cases more so. In those cases, sometimes what you'll see is content out there that maybe not the best as someone else, but because the people are so good at marketing, that's what you see out there. And as long as it's decent stuff and they're not trying to take advantage of people, that's something else we could talk about. Then I'm all for it.
Yes, exactly, and there's nothing wrong. So actually, I was reaching forward there, and I have my little note here. It's actually something I've taken on board recently, and I'm disciplining myself to stick to. Is there's a marketer called Clay Collins, and he has the 5 1s. So I see because you told me, okay, you did this thing here, you did this thing here, you did the promotion, do the marketing. It was a kind of overwhelm. So what he says is you have one product or service, you market it to one persona, one person, one avatar. You focus on one traffic source. You send that traffic source to one conversion mechanism, and you focus on that for 1 year.
It's so true, I think, and that's I'm sitting here smiling because I do so many different things. So it's like and I really got off track many times, thinking that I could somehow market everything I do to all the different people that I connect with, and it really doesn't work. So yes. I think that's right. I think that's right.
That's exactly it, isn't it? And I've said elsewhere and on other podcasts, it's the like they say in Japanese, is you chase 2 rabbits, you catch none, isn't it? It's the same thing. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you have to go after it. So I want to go on to a little bit more about the app and how you got there, but I'll just rewind a little bit. So we'll go back in time, and you started out. What got you into ELT teaching in the first place?
Wow. If we're going back that far, almost everyone in my family's a teacher, professor in some way, and almost everybody's a musician in some way. So I was really struggling between whether I'd wanted to go to graduate school after getting my bachelor's degree, which was in psychology and a focus on education. And I was really interested in developmental psychology and adolescence, identity and adolescence, how adolescents learn, not language per se. And then I was also DJing and thinking about the music business. So I did a little back and forth. I was in a PhD program at Temple University in Philadelphia in developmental psychology, which I worked very hard to get into. And I was there for about 6 weeks before I had a mental breakdown. Because I was like, I cannot give 6 years of my life to doing research in psychology. It's just, again, there are too many things I want to do at once, right? I can't focus on just one thing. But yeah, the long story short is I was, sort of having this existential crisis in New York City. What do I want to do? Music business, teach. I was DJing, working at a restaurant kind of stuff. A cousin of mine was teaching an ESL class in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, to immigrants from Central and South America, mostly illegal immigrants, sort of above a storefront kind of thing. And she couldn't finish the course for some reason. And she asked if I wanted to do it. So I jumped at the opportunity because I was like, I want us to see if I want to teach. I need to get out there and see. And I mean, 10 minutes in, I knew this is what I want to do. And I realized, oh yeah, I took a linguistics course that I loved, so sort of all kind of, I love thinking about language learning, not just learning. And I got really into the fact these people needed to get their job skills up. They needed to understand about American culture. I was like, okay, that plus like language acquisition stuff and plus teaching, so I didn't bring in music at that point, but very quickly, maybe like a few months later, I was bringing songs in, not my songs. That happened much later. So it was great. Then I decided to do a master's in TESOL at City University in New York. Got really into the lexical approach and fell in love with this idea of thinking about more interesting ways to use collocations to build chunking to build language acquisition, and worked at different schools in New York City. And so now I'm sort of getting ahead of your original question, but I really, once I figured it out, I threw myself in to ELT.
So you just went in, you got on faculty, you had a kind of a stable job, part-time, full-time?
Well, so that was a super like unstable situation with this little, Ecuadorian language school in Brooklyn kind of thing. So, but from there, then I got a job at a school called, at the time, Center for English Studies. It became part of a study group, which is a British company. Anyway, it was basically a school for I-20 students, people on student visas coming from different countries to study in New York City. I was director of curriculum development, and things were going swimmingly until 9/11. Actually, we had 2 locations. The one where I was based downtown was 2 blocks from World Trade Center, basically like 150 meters away. So we had international students, living in the building where we were teaching. I mean, it was crazy. The building where we were became a Red Cross like crisis center during that time. So basically, we had a choice. We were all laid off for just teachers. So all the jobs, like, all the vice presidents of this, or I was head of curriculum development, it was over. Because of 9/11. So what I did at that time, and looking back on it, I'm not sure it was the right decision. I had a Japanese student who wanted to start his own school in New York City for Japanese students exclusively, like to do sort of a bilingual thing, bicultural thing, students learning English, especially taking the TOEFL. There was a big market for TOEFL preparation for Japanese students who were going to like Kaplan, but they didn't like Kaplan. So the idea was, okay, they'll be officially in the country as international students with Kaplan or NYU or Columbia, but they'll come to our school, to really get the TOEFL preparation they need. I was super excited about it. We started it. It was kind of a crazy time because I'm having my first child. So there wasn't a lot of money in it. So I'm running around as an adjunct, teaching here and there, trying to start this school. Did the school for 8 years. And there's some great times doing it. I learned a tremendous amount, developed a lot of TOEFL materials on my own, helped a lot of business folks get jobs in New York, people from Japan, even did a lot of GMAT preparation, people going to business school. So that was great. And that was 2001, 2002 until like 2009. And then 2009 until I came here to France in 2013. This is 4 years. I was academic director of a program in New Jersey, very close to New York City. And that's where I started doing music in the classroom. And that took me to Europe.
So you were fretting about, oh, should I do this, or should I do teaching? Should I do music? And eventually it started to converge, started to come together.
And that's why people my age will say to people, hey, don't worry too much, follow what your passions are, keep your mind open to how things might go. Because, when I look back also, I remember telling my mom when I was really little that I wanted to be a clown in the future, and like, here I am, like making jokes on stage with kids and doing stuff like, I mean, there's definitely the clown in what I do. So, it's so important, isn't it, to think what at the very base, what do you want to do? And if you feel like, oh, I could never do that. Okay, maybe you wouldn't join the circus as a clown, but what is it about being a clown? What is it about music, teaching, entertainment? Like, it makes so much sense now, but I never could have put it together on my, it just had to happen, I think.
So it had to happen organically. And they talk about it when, they're creating high fat, high calorie, high salt snacks, don't they? There's a thing called the bliss point, isn't it?
That's right. I love that. I loved it.
Is that the same? This is kind of your bliss point.
Yeah, I think that I love bliss point because I just love anything where it's like the good side and the dark side, of advertising. And I was like, how can we, make the bliss point something good? Because what your example of the bliss point is sort of the evil side of it, right? It's the same. It's the same with language learning, I feel, because companies use language collocations specifically, right, to get you to buy products. The repetition here and here in billboards, music, rhyme and rhythm, right? It can be used propaganda in politics, right? Like, I feel like where I'm most interested in language acquisition, the chunking, the collocations, and then the music, the rhythm and rhyme. This is, to me, like, the center of bliss point stuff. Like, what do people want? Well, they might want the most salty, sugary snack, or they might want, like, the best feeling of learning a language and being empowered with language, right? So trying to work on the good side.
Yeah, and there's so many examples I could talk about, but the repetition and the programming, isn't there? But I think the one I'll use is the one from The Simpsons, where he joins the Movementarians and they couldn't break him. They called him smelly and they called everything, and it was like, this guy is the strongest we've ever met. And then they just said, what was it? Leader,
right.
and then he was broken then, wasn't he? So
that's right. I just have to share, because in case you don't know it, I'll make it quick. I mean, I really did have an aha moment, like an epiphany, when I was in the classroom in New Jersey. I was experimenting a lot with chunking and collocations, but still hadn't found something that really gave students the exposure that they really needed to acquire chunks of language. Like, the lexical approach kind of left us hanging, I feel, in terms of all the great insights. But then, okay, I'm with you. How are students going to acquire this? Oh, we have these worksheets and these books and these sort of games you can play. It's like, it's just not enough, right? So I was teaching one day, and I said, students were largely Korean, Japanese, maybe a few others in the room. And I said, I always... And a student said, Coca-Cola. And I had no idea what had happened. People started to laugh. And the student happened to be someone who didn't talk very much in class, who wasn't confident. And all of a sudden she blurts it out. And then it hit me, of course, that was the slogan at the time, always Coca-Cola. I was like, well, always Coca-Cola. They created a collocation, and the reason that's popping out of her mouth and not, always late, I'll always be there, always whatever, was because she had seen and heard it so many times in a relaxed state, where it just, I was all big into crashing also. So it's like, okay, so she wasn't consciously trying to learn this language. It just happened. I was like, okay, I've got to figure out a way. And then I'm testing stuff out. I say, okay, they're like, do it. But they don't know, just a moment, just a little bit. It's like, how do you, just do it and always Coca-Cola? I mean, just do it's a little more functional, but always Coca-Cola is not something they're going to need. So I was like, I've got to do the same thing these companies are doing somehow. And that's where the songs came in. I was like, I got to create songs with chunks. If they like the song enough and repeat it, they'll get it up here and it'll come out in an activity. It'll come out in a job interview. It'll come out on the TOEFL. So I just wanted to, that's my main thing that I do on the pedagogy side, not the business side.
So, and it comes in also with, you do, what was it? What's the line you use?
Well, I have this credo: relax, repeat, remember.
That's it. Yes.
And if you see me out there doing this, it's not a gang sign. It's relax, repeat, remember. It's the 3 R's.
The 3 R's: relax, repeat, remember. And of course, you're most well known for, PP, past participle, and you do the whole what was it? Give, gave, given.
Yeah, well, it's actually the first song that I wrote for my students. Students coming from all these countries to New York thinking they're going to arrive in the States and all of a sudden they're going to speak English because English is all over surrounding them. But they arrive with, low levels of grammar and vocabulary usually and listening skills. So, they were just so disappointed and disillusioned often. So I was like, okay, what can I do to kind of get the language up here? Irregular verbs was something everybody really needed help with. So I wrote that song. It's still the most popular song. It's what's helped me get make more connections and know more students and teachers for sure. That song, not because of the views in my social network. People take it. People who are more bigger than me take it and put it on their social networks. So, this person has 4 million views with my video. This person has 7 million views with my video. But hey, it's great for me. And it's the most important. It's great for students. It means more students are using it to help them remember irregular verbs. But I think that video probably has between 50 and 70 million views now.
Wow.
Very few of which are my own. But again, that's okay.
Yeah, so it's out there, and I think it's a great service for students, isn't it? Because this is something they struggle with, and it's like, oh, this is just a hassle, isn't it? Learning these verbs, but once you get over that, that's opens up so many possibilities in the language.
So I mean, I can keep talking about that, but I know it's the business of ELT, and I'm also interested in that. So definitely, if you need to stop me, because I'll keep talking about collocations and rhythm and rhyme forever.
Great. Okay, so we will move on. So I want to kind of move on to what exactly you just mentioned is you were working as faculty, maybe you had a number of jobs, pretty stable, and then you decided to make a break away, work for yourself. And this is something that the listeners, whether they are in teaching at the moment and they want to go out on their own, they want the independence, not somebody looking over the shoulder. They can live the life they want, the dream, the nomadic lifestyle, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, knowing you and talking to you now is, I wouldn't put you as a corporate person.
Exactly. You wouldn't,
yeah.
Are you sure?
So
you don't know me well enough.
You're not a person I would say could sit at a desk for 40 hours a week and just do your business. But
the problem is I can do it, but I'll lose my mind, and I've lost my mind trying. So in the end, I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Yeah. I know.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So you want to break out on your own, and well, number one, obviously, just from what we've talked about, is you're not a corporate person, you're not a desk person, you want to do things by yourself, you've got independent spirit. So what else was the push or pull factor
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a corporate person. The problem is I'm just also not a real business person. I can do it, but I really, I loathe it. And if you're going to be independent, you've got to be a business. You've got to have a head for business, because you're going to be the person, unless you hook up with someone who's sort of sponsoring you, right, or taking care of that side of things, or splitting your earnings. They're doing business. You're doing the creative side, and that's sort of always been my dream. And I may be finally getting there after making so many mistakes along the way. But the other thing is that, even back when I said I've been there, done that, I mean, I was working in the music business in a very corporate setting. And that's why I said that, like, I can do it. But even then it was like, I want to do music. I don't want to do the business. And here I am, like, I want to do, language teaching and learning, not the business. So how can that work? I've really given up on being like the teacherpreneur, and I know for most people that there isn't really a chance of working independently, having that freedom, and not doing marketing, accounting, and all of those things. But I have been in this a long time now. I do believe that it is possible, and I'm trying it now, to work with people who are really more on that side of things, so that I can focus more on what I do best, as I say. So I really feel for a teacher who thinks that, like, they have to go through all this, learn how to be a business person, learn how to do digital marketing, build their business. And sometimes the message is, I don't like it. Like, that's sort of what you have to do. Because I'm not sure that really is, well, going forward, I hope it's not what we have to do. Like, for example, what I'm working on now with Relevant, and Fyodor is working, with other teachers, like, who have big followings, but aren't making money off their materials. Well, maybe, instead of taking all this time to be marketers, we could do the marketing. We, not me, but meaning the people I work with, Relevant, and right. So I think that's huge. A great example, colleagues like Vicky Hollett with Simple English Videos, for example, or Jennifer, ESL Jennifer. Like, they make such great materials. And Jennifer is someone who's become absolutely an entrepreneur. But someone like Vicky, and I could name others, should be making, much more of a splash, both in terms of making money and also in getting their content out. But they don't have the time or the interest in the business side of things. So I'm really now very committed to not being like stubborn about it, like, I will not do any business. It's not this. It's just, can I find the right people, make the right decisions, so that other people are enjoying making money from what I do, and sharing money from what I do, because they're focusing on the business side of things, while I'm focusing on the creation side of things.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, it was a bit misleading what I said. I said, independent, but actually nobody is really independent, are they? I mean, there's an ecosystem. We have a support network that we have.
But so many people feel like they're independent, feel kind of lost, and they're on their own. And the other thing is, I feel like, we had, sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say one thing, because we were talking earlier about social media. I mean, there's the whole, Web 2.0 disillusionment now. I mean, it really helped people get together at a time. But if you're now trying to get in, like you said, organic reach, it's almost non-existent. Trying to, crowdsource with a question, or get other teachers to, help you. It's you can feel really alone, right? So I think there's this illusion of independence in a lot of ways, like, okay, people can work from home, remote, you can work here, you can work there. To actually make money doing it and have a good life doing it is super, super difficult. And again, that's why I'm really pumped. I never say that. Now I'm going to say it because I heard you say it, but pumped to be working, hyped to be working with the people I'm working with now. Because the whole idea is like, let's get teachers who have great stuff. Let's work with these people. And, what do they need? Do they need to, publish something, instead of self-publishing? Maybe somebody on our team can help them self-publish that, it doesn't have to be alone. Do they, want to grow their Instagram? It doesn't have to be so alone. So if that's what you mean, like we're not independent, I agree. But I feel a lot of people feel kind of lost. I don't know. Maybe you know more than I do because you meet people more who are trying to get their businesses going in ELT.
That's true. And I think that is a problem. And it's one I faced and had to live through. And what happens is there's no accountability, is there? And you're trying to juggle so many, you're trying to spin so many plates, aren't you? And also you don't have the expertise. You don't enjoy it. You get burned out. There's nobody to support you. And, one bad word or one kind word can mean everything, can't it? Words are so powerful. I think I told this story before, but I always repeat myself anyway. It's when I was leaving home. Yeah, right, there you go. You're the repetition guy. But I was going to live in China at the time, and this was after the financial meltdown, about 2009, 2010. Oh, yeah. And one particular individual, who tried to be as vague as possible there, said to me, "Why are you going there?" And so many people say, "Oh, that's great. It'd be a nice adventure, good." And, I heard it's a good place to go. And one person, and actually that rocked me a lot. I said, if it's said with such intent and such, actually a little bit of malice as well. There was a little bit of jealousy and whatever. What can happen as well is, and I've found this with people I've interviewed, we've chatted afterwards, and, one encouraging word can make a lot of difference, can't it?
I hear you. Absolutely. Yeah, it's tough because you want feedback and you also don't want to jump into something too quickly. So it's good when there are words of caution, but then that really resonates with me what you're saying about something. It could be almost like not intentionally malicious, but coming from a place of maybe jealousy or closed-mindedness. And that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it does mean. And, I'm not going to get into American politics, but, I don't always disagree. There's the freedom of speech thing, and I'm, big in freedom of speech and all that.
Yeah,
but, for sure. And some people argue against the point that, words have violence. And, as a freedom of speech person, I kind of loathe to admit it, but words do have violence, don't they? In some ways, it does, act upon us very strongly, if it's a bad word.
Yeah.
So,
it's back to what's the good side of the force or the bad side of the force, right?
Exactly. Yes.
You could be in a room thinking about how to use language to manipulate people to buying something, or you could be in a room thinking about the best way to use language to get people to learn and be motivated and empower them.
And I like the way, Jason, we're so simpatico here with the the conversation, the way we're going back and forth. And so tell me more about the app, how it started. Yeah. So I just want to talk a little bit about, you've done a lot of courses. I know you had your own course at one stage, didn't you? Was the weekly workout.
Wow, you remember it. Yeah,
I do. You had the dumbbell like that. When you were raising.
A lot of great promotion and a lot of poor marketing, and in the end, it was very little return on investment. But learning from your mistakes along the way. So I can make a very easy segue between that and what I'm doing now, because I have on this app, we have a climb called You Can Tell Your Story. So climb course. Okay, just whenever I say climb, think online course. But again, it's more fun. It's more intuitive. I think it's more social learning. So it's based on this audiobook I wrote. So when I finished this book, it was a lot of work, and I was really happy with it because my students loved it, that I was using in class. So I teach at university. I haven't mentioned this, but I teach it 2 days at a university in Paris. I've been teaching sort of adjunct here. It's called vacataire at different universities since I moved. So when I'm not out doing a show or teacher training, then I'm teaching university students, which I love. So that actually now is kind of a good balance, as opposed to too many hats or too many plates in the air. So that really finally works very well. Go do a show with kids, then another day I'm teaching university students. So this is something I really enjoy. So I wrote this audiobook. So it's for second language learners of English. So it's not a traditional audiobook in certain ways, but the idea is it's called One Day. It's about the day in the life of a person living and working in the city. And it begins when the person gets up and then ends when the person goes to bed. And in between, the chapters are different situations, a lot of them at the job or at a restaurant, right? It's meant to be read and listened to at the same time. So like lyrics of songs, this I found is absolutely the best way to remember vocabulary and grammar structures is, the sound spelling relationships as you're reading while you're listening, subtitles, I could go on and on. So I thought, okay, songs are great. Subtitles series are great. How about a book where I can really put in all the functional language and collocations that students need. So I wrote this book. So what am I going to do with this book? Am I going to self-publish it? I'm back to, oh my God, am I going to make this mistake again where I have something good to offer, but it doesn't get out there to all the people who could benefit from it. So I reconnected with Fyodor. I call him Boom Boom. He's a DJ like me. He has DJ Boom Boom. He's originally from St. Petersburg. He lives in Brooklyn. He's an American citizen now. He's very vocal against what's going on with Russia, but he's very well connected in Russia and Ukraine. We started a thing called No Borders English, which you probably haven't seen because we sort of haven't put it out there so much yet. It's more behind the scenes. It's for Ukrainian refugees who are out in different parts of Europe and other places, but mainly Europe. So they're on the app learning for free. For them, it's free, all the stuff we're doing. But what's great, again, I said there was a segue. I have a course now around the book. So it's not the weekly English workout. It's instead where students who join the climb, each day they get a chapter of the book that they listen to and read and some exercises, and then they do a challenge. So they turn on their cameras and they do a speaking challenge that they share with the tribe, the other people. So we've got all these students just, right here on this phone, right, who are doing my materials, putting it up, chatting, giving feedback. And it's just amazing. So I could never have done something like that on my own. So when I say I've got this app, it's funny. What did I do for the app? Nothing. In terms of the design of it, I had ideas, but it's basically this much me and this much the other folks. But what's really cool, right, is that I'm able to make a course, an online course that we're calling a climb. Into the hands of more people because I'm working with these folks and because it's on an app. So everything is mobile. It's just amazing. So there's no PDFs, there's no downloading, there's no go here or go there. We have events on Zoom sometimes and in Connect Club, which is sort of a virtual world where we go. But basically we're on this app and it's just amazing. I mean, I'm walking down the street teaching English, I feel like the talking about golden ages, the golden age of mobile learning, I think is finally coming. I mean, this is the first time I've really felt it, doing everything with this phone and connecting with people all over the world, having that experience of feeling close to students, really forming intimate bonds through digital media. So it's just fantastic.
I know I keep doing these hand signals here. So it's actually a very interested mosquito circling around. So if you ever feel alone, mosquitoes are always interested, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure your listeners were distracted by that, Philip. So
you're like, why is he making all these hand signals? Yeah, is it some sort of Freemasonry thing? But so tell me about how people can work with you then.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing that I just say now, I mean, and this is what's so cool too, is just download the app. It's free, download the app and take a look, right? There's no commitment to anything. There's an email address you put in, but we don't spam people or anything like that. It's just so you can check it out. So without taking a course or a climb, you can still benefit. We have like a news feed, which is basically like a Facebook group, right? But the difference is everybody there is a teacher or a learner. There's no junk, there's no noise, there's no ads. There's nothing. It's just pure, motivated teachers and learners hanging out together. And then, if there, you can also, take a look at the climbs we have. So we have, you can tell your story, which is the one I'm doing. We have You're Hired, which is about preparing for job interviews and learning how to get your resume together. We have one called You Look Great on Video, which is how to, make better videos. Not necessarily as a creator, more like, again, for professional purposes, like so you look better in a Zoom meeting, or if you need to make some, content for your company, this kind of stuff. So it's very, the motto is, it's not official yet, but this is my motto for it. It's social learning for global professionals. And social learning is a collocation that just, is very dear to me, because I feel like that's what was missing with MOOCs. We didn't talk about that. I actually created the first MOOC for language teaching that had live sessions in a virtual classroom. Before that, it was just asynchronous only MOOCs. And I thought at that time, this is 2010. No, what am I talking about? 2000, no, it was later, 2012, 13. But, I thought this is the future. It's the MOOC, it's the open online course. And then even with the live sessions, it turns out it's too bulky, it's too long, it's not a natural thing. So I'm just so excited to finally have that feeling on an app that was missing with the MOOC. So I think everyone really needs to explore this idea. And if you think, I'm not saying make your own app only, on the contrary, like Relevant, this app, we're going to get more teachers to put their courses there. The idea is not like we have our stuff. It's like, who are other teachers that could do climbs? Who are other teachers that could put their stuff on there so they're able to connect with learners and make money from their teaching?
So there's a lot of there's a lot of teachers I've spoken to, and I'm sure you have. They've put their courses up on Udemy and these platforms, haven't they? And they, I don't know, some get success. I mean, as always, it's probably 5% of people make 95%, isn't it? And then there's a lot of stuff that's not even. Well,
there's just a lot of work to goes into. I mean, there's so many variables, of course. How good is the course? But I mean, if we look at courses that have really great content and the teachers are awesome and all of that, I mean, it's a smaller number. But many more of them should succeed. They're just not getting out to enough people. So whether it's a MOOC type of situation like Udemy, whether it's they put it up on they're what's that software? I'm forgetting the name. But anyway, there are different platforms, right? You can now it's very simple in theory to start this online course because a lot of the software is easier to load it, but then it's about getting it out there. You get it's the marketing of it and the networking with it that's really tough.
Yeah, and it's the barrier to entry is so much lower, so much more stuff out there, and maybe how it's marketed, or there's so much choice. People are confused, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So this solves that problem.
Well, I mean, if I had to say the best thing about it, and I'm glad this is it because it's nothing to do with marketing. It's the user experience. It's doing everything on this phone. I mean, right now, like, I mean, I'm not going to do it, but I've been in meetings, not exciting ones like this with you because this is fun. But I mean, I've been in meetings where I'm like, participating, and I'm also teaching English on this app. Like this, it's just amazing. This is what it looks like. But I see here somebody uploaded a video. I could make a comment. But these are all paying students, with the exception of the No Borders English, the Ukrainian group that does it for free, and that's another amazing thing. Obviously, is to be able to help these guys because all of a sudden they need English. They needed English maybe like most people in the world need English as a tool, but suddenly, when you're living in Germany or Belgium, and you didn't need English the way you do now to get a job as a refugee in another country. So that's a very meaningful project that we're working on right now.
So just give me a kind of timeline here on Relevant. So when did it start? What was the initial concept? Where is it now? And, what's for the future?
Great. No, I'd love to tell you. So I had nothing at all to do with relevance creation. I think the co-founders, Troy Malone, who I mentioned earlier, and Fyodor Sokolov, they founded the company maybe a couple of years ago and kind of just put it on hold. They have so many different things they're doing. And I got in right when they started putting the courses out. How You Look Great on Video was the first one. And it was done on their website. And the idea was to create a Discord server. So where people could be interacting and then, going over here. And then I was like, that wasn't working. Can we make it social on the website? Oh, no, we really can't. That's why we were talking about Discord in the first place. So then it was like, let's try the app. And wow, it just changed everything. So that in terms of a timeline, I think the app, we've had the app for maybe 3 months or 4 months. I mean, this is how quickly, how recent this has been. And we haven't done any major marketing as much as we created No Borders English. So we got we had a connection to get a lot of Ukrainians interested and find out about it. But that was sort of off social media, there was no advertising, that was happening sort of behind the scenes. And likewise for the paid courses, we sort of did a lot of, direct messaging to former students. I haven't even reached out to teachers like you and others in ELT, which I'm planning to do soon to talk about it. So it's been, and also because we're experimenting with it. Like you don't want to bring a lot of people to an app and have it, not function well. So, it's also been a chance for us to kind of figure things out. So now I'm just like, all I want to do is talk about it. If you go to my Instagram feed, all you'll see in my story is, relevant this, relevant that. I'm even saying like looking for fluency, get relevant. Like I'm there. Like, and it's also
it's Fluency. Sorry, Jason, but it's Fluency MC is your Instagram account.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fluency MC is my Instagram, and I shorten it to Fluency. I mean, it sounds really like arrogant to be like, my name is Fluency or something, but because I'm Fluency MC, sometimes people call me Fluency or Flu. So, but yeah, so I mean, I haven't said this yet, but you won't be surprised. Like one of the great things about this app is like, I don't have to be on Facebook anymore, like chatting with people because I'm getting that experience here. I mean, I love, when I say Facebook, I mean the whole family of, whatever, or Twitter or LinkedIn, I sort of mean social media, generally speaking, that as we said, it's very limited now. You can't just go there and immediately strike up a great conversation and LinkedIn is a little better, by the way. So I'm happy that it's still happening more on LinkedIn. But, here I am on this app and I'm doing it with my students and other teachers now who are coming in very slowly. And we're going to bring a lot more teachers on. But I mean, it's just amazing, to feel like, I don't have to be there as much anymore, that I've got our own place where I can be.
Fantastic. And it's right because at the beginning of the podcast, you said, you were Mr. Promotion, but you have done I haven't seen any. Well, I don't go to Facebook maybe once, twice a day, just do my thing and leave again. But I don't see so much promotion on Facebook or LinkedIn.
But it's also that, I just one example of many. I mean, I made my cover photo for Facebook, the Relevant app. I think it got like, 4 likes, back in the day, if I changed my cover photo, I'd have 250 people liking it. So it's just, you don't see it because it's just, I mean, part of it is, I'm not pushing it because I know very few people will see it. All the effort I'd put into it would be so minimal. But the other thing is, you'd have to really look, you have to really go to people's pages and go to people's places now to really see what they're doing, I think.
Yes, exactly. And who has time to do that or inclination, do they?
Right.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, we do see things from our own perspective, as you know, with the psychology background. But, we all think about the stuff we're trying to push out there. And, everybody is in the same boat, aren't they? We're muted, really. From the system.
I am so passionate, as you know, about other teachers and helping them get their stuff out. That's the whole idea of Innovative Teachers of English, which is still a great group. So if you're on Facebook and you're not in that group, I strongly recommend it. But we can't get the dialogue. I mean, I used to do another example. I mean, I used to do a live there, and so many people would come. I do a live there, or I put up something about a webinar I'm doing, and 4 days later, people will be like, can I join? It's like, I already put the time, I already put, and people want the link. And I'm like, okay, but the second I put a link that takes people off of Facebook, nobody will see it. So it's like, anyway, so right. So the idea then for other teachers getting their work out there, getting their courses onto relevant, this is my mission now, is to make that a place where there can be more, because there's really, there's no limit to what you can do with an app like this. I feel it's, creating this many courses, these groups, it's really fantastic.
So it's so encouraging talking to you today, Jason, because, you came from the background and you tried things, they failed, and then the system worked against you. The walls were closing in on social media. And then, you pivoted and you're on this app now. We use the word pumped about the whole thing. And it's for people, and I would include myself here, and maybe many that have listened. They've tried things, nothing has happened. That they put out ebooks, they've put courses, nobody has signed up, and it's very, very discouraging, isn't it?
Oh my God, what is more discouraging than that? Yes. So I'm pumped, but I know better than to say, like, this is it. Like, I know I'm going to make it now, an ELT, or I'm going to this, I'm going to that. But I do feel that if I keep the shows going, working with kids, doing these shows, that's such an important thing for me, and it does bring in money, and I'm able to do what I couldn't do before, which is also have an online business, but if it can be through other people that know much more than I do and have more passion and time to put in to do marketing, publishing, coding, software development. People used to say, you should have an app, Fluency MC should have an app, so it's always like that. And it's like, okay, now it's not the Fluency MC app, right? But it's even better because, I don't want to have my own app that I have to worry about. And I do want to bring other teachers in so they can do things. So instead of everybody having these different apps, right, it could be, we'll see. But I'm really hoping, and Fyodor, with whom I'm working so closely, every day, that's his dream too, is to bring more teachers there, to have it be a big community of different types of online learning.
Yeah, and it's that chimes with me is, the suggestions for people. And sometimes I used to get it a lot, and it was like, you should do a section on this. You should get this person to write for you. And you had, could get 50 writers after, but like somebody has to edit all this stuff, post all this stuff, people have to pay. And it's like, I don't have unlimited time or money. No. It's like very limited on both, but that's what we have to put up with. So Jason, if people want to work with you, what's the best way to get in contact? I'll put it all in the show notes anyway,
Cool.
So you're Twitter, you're on Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn.
The best thing is just Google, Fluency MC or whatever search engine you use, and then choose what you want from there. Like social media, my website, YouTube, or if you're already on a platform, just Fluency MC. I'm most active right now on the app, which is so exciting. After that, Instagram is a big one, because that's where I put pictures and videos from my shows. That's where I meet more students and more teachers for that side of what I do. And then YouTube, I'm not as active on, because I'm sort of waiting, sort of in the cut, as we say, because I know if I put a video out, we didn't talk about YouTube specifically, but the same problem. I used to put out a video, I'd have 10,000 views in like a day or 2 days. Now I get 10,000 views in 6 months if I'm lucky, right? So, I'm kind of waiting in a holding pattern there, because I have a lot of content and I don't want to put it. So I've been creating stuff, holding on to it. Oh, I want to mention one thing before we go, which is I'm making videos for Black Cat Publishing. They do graded readers. So it's been really exciting. So if you want to see a rap about The Great Gatsby, Animal Farm, I just came out. You can, if you put my name in with the name of the book or Black Hat, I've been doing videos about classic literature and stuff, making raps. So that's been a lot of fun. So you can see that on social media and also on Black Hat website. But yeah, to find me, just Fluency MC, and please check out the Relevant app on the App Store, Google Play. It's Relevant Skills is how you'll search for it. And I can show nobody's seeing this. You saw what it looked like, but anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Great. And Jason, thanks again.
Thank you, Philip. So glad after all this time we've been able to connect and talk, even though we keep following each other. So it's been a real pleasure. And thanks for the opportunity to connect with all your listeners.
Thanks for listening to the EFL Magazine Business Podcast with Philip Pound. For more great advice and resources, check out eflmagazine.com. If you found this podcast helpful, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next time.